That wasn't the most fun, was it? Not promotion for Leeds, which is good. I'm sort of doing this as an impromptu stream because I want to see what other people think about this. But at the end of the day, what matters is Leeds United 1, Southampton 2. And yeah, playoffs for Leeds United, which is not what you want to see. The ideal world was we win that game and we feel really good about it. And that would be absolutely fantastic. And I would have loved that. And I'm going to slightly zoom out the camera. There we go. Just so I fit a little bit better within the banner. But I've come into this without many notes because I was just weird spot of desperation. So it's going to be a case of let me know in the chat what your thoughts were on the game. And we'll just have a bit of a conversation based on that. Which should be nice, stressful, both simultaneously. I don't even know, to be honest with you. There's one thing that I noticed that rather annoyed me. And I'll get into the referee later because that was something I noticed that really annoyed me. But something that we kept doing was late runs into the box is normally something we're really good at the top of the pitch. And I didn't expect us to be quite as bad as we were at the back of the pitch when it came to dealing with it this time. So looking at the first goal, that's a late arrival at the back post, slotting it home, which is annoying, but it happens. And the fact that a late run is what does us again and again and again and again, and every single time it feels like it takes one of Rodon and Ampadu completely unawares. Confusing. A little bit baffling. The second goal as well, partially on Firpo. Because Firpo should be aware that that ball, even if it looks like it's going out, isn't necessarily definitely going out. Which makes that probably not good enough. You probably have to chase that all the way, right? I'm not the only one that thinks that if you're hunting after a ball that the winger is also chasing, you probably don't ease off the gas just because you think, you know what, that might go out. You got to give it 100% all the way, and that is how that second goal happened, and it was not a fun way to concede it, but that's going to happen sometimes. Going to have a quick look through the comments. First up, we have Joe Depp. Playoffs simple as we brush ourselves down and at them a new fresh start. This is the perspective that I'm going to try and take into it. Because at the end of the day, we can't really do anything about what's happened before because it's happened previously. All we can really affect is the rest of the championship season, which for us is a little bit longer than we want it to be. Because, yay, the playoffs. But we go again. Really begin. I'm going to have a very quick look at FBref just to see our comparisons against, what's the name? How have I forgotten that team's name? Norwich so far this season, and see how it's gone and sort of get an idea of how we might do, because I know that we've beaten them twice. It's just I'm not 100% sure what the performances were like in those matches. Tim is embarrassed by Leeds' performance lately. I've run out of patience with Farke. I don't know what... If you can tell me what Daniel Farke personally could have done to stop those goals, then sure, fantastic. But for the second one, hello, Iris. He can't personally demand that Junior Firpo keep running into the corner. That's not something that he has done wrong, in my opinion, at the very least. He's not telling people to lose the players that they're marking. I'm not... And then from that point, after two mistakes, Southampton are just like, okay, we'll sit deep. It's so incredibly funny how you're not celebrating your own victories. Instead, you're celebrating someone else's downfall. It's a little bit sad, isn't it? You should be quite happy right now. I don't know if you're a Leicester fan or an Ipswich fan or you're just completely unrelated to the situation, but you should back yourself rather than laughing at someone else who's having a little bit of a downturn. That's a lot more fun, trust me. It's a much happier way of going about things, and that's what I'm going to try and do in this stream. We're going to be a bit happy. Well, not happy, but Moderate. We'll go with moderate. Moderate feels like a safe way of saying it. We're not in good form at the most important time. Yeah, that's a very good way of putting it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to whack up Flash Score. I'm going to look at the championship table. Why is my camera moving about so much? It should not be doing that. Especially since it's on like a big old mount thing, which is good. Give me a second. Championship standings. Right, bosh. Cool. Gonna do a quick screen share. Yeah, brilliant. Works better with 2 monitors. I know, that's why I have 2 monitors. Boom. Right, championship table at the end of the season. That's not good. Let's be honest. Match before this, we also lost, because that was Coventry. Then I lost to Blackburn. We beat Borough, which is quite nice, but lost to QPR, lost to Southampton. I wouldn't say he's lost the dressing room. I'd say that a strong argument that I've seen for what's gone wrong is in terms of the goals we've conceded in matches. A lot of it, I think, will have something to do with the fact that a hell of a lot of our players haven't done entire seasons before. Joe Rodon hasn't played, I said that weird, hasn't played a full season of football in his career till now. Ethan Ampadu's been constantly loany. Grove Shaw played a bit. Kamara hasn't played a full season in a long time. I think a lot of it could just come down to fatigue. Because, oh boy, are we going to have a fatiguey team? And this is why I thought it might have been a good idea to take off Somerville at some point. Because Somerville being tired is not good when we're going into the playoffs where we need our players at their absolute best. I'm going to quickly share this tab instead. Right. This period here, after New Year, it's really good defensively. We concede more than 2 once, and it's against Chelsea, 3-2. Fine, that's okay. And then you go later into the season, and you get into 2 against Coventry, 1 against Blackburn, 3 against Borough, 4 against QPR, followed by 2 against Southampton. I'm going to include these 2 as well because we've not consistently kept clean sheets for a long, long time. And I think that was the international break, to be honest with you. Which, the international break was not very nice for us, was it? But looking at the amount of games where we've conceded since that international break, it is painful. And it feels like it's taken a lot of energy out of that back line, which isn't what you need at the end of the season. But good thing with the playoffs is you know exactly who you're going to be playing against. You know it's going to be Norwich. And you know how to prepare for Norwich, basically. You know that in our previous games against them, I'm going to hide that. I don't know how I make that go away, but that's... fuck it, I'll just refresh the page. In our previous games against Norwich, that's not the worst. That's okay. Yeah, 4-2 on aggregate, we'll take that. Admittedly, similar happened against good old Derby. Went into the second leg leading, and then it didn't work out for us. But it might be all good. We need to play much more conservatively in the playoffs. Teams driving through our midfield too easily. This is the thing that confuses me a bit. What throws me on this is we've also got people saying that we need to shoot more. So are we talking slower build-up? Or are we talking just sort of like hold it a little bit more? Because then you're at the risk of the press. Little bit concerning, I think. Farkas persisted with Rateri's taking Gray out of right back. Ampadu is not that good, and certainly not a Premier League midfielder. Ampadu's not been playing in midfield in the first place. Gray, I admit, maybe should have been at right back, but I think that could have been maybe like protecting his fitness sort of stuff. On the persisting with Rater, I've got a question. Who's your number 10 instead? Because I don't really know. We've known who we're playing from 1 week to the next. We have, but in those instances, we've not had that much time to plan for matches. So much of the time it's been, we're playing here. So you've got a 3-day gap, and before that, you might have had a 4-day gap. So into that, we've got to plan for team 1. Shit, okay, we've got a 4-day turnaround, and we've not got any training time because we've got to go to pissing Plymouth or something. Let's turn around and see if we can put a game plan together. And it's hard to be sort of bespoke and unique for the opponent that you're playing against when it's through a standard championship season. You can be a little bit different in the playoffs. I think this is a little bit... It's not fucking excuses. It's an attempt to explain it. It's an attempt to say, okay, this is how things change a little bit. It's an attempt to say, look, the playoffs are different to the regular season. And I don't think that's too wild of a shout to say that the playoffs and the normal season are entirely different, which is presumably why everyone is saying, oh, we won't make it to Wembley. We won't make it through the playoffs. Except we've beaten Norwich twice. So the argument here on your end is that the playoffs are different, but when I try and explain that, it's excuses. Okay, sure. Norwich and Leicester are probably the two best teams we've seen at Elland Road this year. In the game at Elland Road against Norwich, we conceded 0.5 XG. So they had a lot of the ball, and they were fairly threatening, but they weren't able to turn that into chances, which was okay, I think. Whereas we managed to score. It was the same case away from home. It was okay. Used to bad days, been a Leeds fan for 6 years. I'm not surprised midfield does nothing and too much messing around outside the box. Question is, if you're just going to hit it outside the box, you're just going to hand over possession a lot of the time. So I can see why they're doing it, and they have been told to do that, but yeah. I'm not entirely sure on Nonto in the 10, to be honest with you. And in that case, we need Anthony on the wing, and we don't have any wingers on the bench. So in the case that we try something like that, what happens when a Somerville gets injured or Anthony gets injured, and then you don't have any wingers anymore, and you're playing the second half just super narrow because you can't play it wide because you've not got the resources to do it. Playoffs are more like cup games than league games. This also feels a little bit okay to me though, because we weren't too bad in the cup games this season. We lost to Salford, I'll admit. I completely forgot about that, but I'm going to have a look at that 11 because that was a very shit 11 if I remember right. I think maybe JB played. Darlow in that was the big problem for me. Cresswell at centre-back is always spooky. Ampadu is in midfield. Strauch in there as well. Shackleton was the right-back. Hjelde was the left-back. Yeah, I can see why that was a little bit bad. Give Iris a try out. Yeah, maybe. That'll work. I don't know what position you'd put her in. But hell, it's worth a shot, I think. But yeah, you also got to remember we had something like 39 shots in the Salford match, which wasn't too awful. I've just realised I wasn't sharing my screen then. That's on me. Miss Dan James, will he be okay for Norwich? I think that is a question. A very good question. I'm just going to search for the EFL playoff dates. And we'll have a look. Okay. First playoff fixture is the 12th of May away at Carrow Road. Kicking off at 12 noon. Shit, that's next week. Oh my god. So maybe back for that one. I thought we had more time. It's a question. As far as we knew, Dan James was a doubt for the final match of the season when he initially got injured, and then he was sort of brought back down to a sort of he's not going to make the last game, but he could still, in theory, make the playoffs. We're going to probably get an update on that when Farke does a presser. It will be either Thursday or Friday. He tends to do it 2 days before the match, so I would argue probably Friday. I think. I don't know. Also, if you haven't yet, I'd massively appreciate popping a like on the stream. That's just quite nice, and if you don't ask, you don't get. Same for subscribing. That's always lovely as well. Wanted to say thank you for your broadcast this season. You have a handsome pooch and now a cat. I'm an Ipswich fan and a fan of football, and I have only good wishes for you in, I'm going to guess that says the future. But thank you, John. I appreciate it. I would also quite like Ipswich to stay up next season. Purely based on the fact that something a bit different in it. It might as well. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, on this, I think we were also quite badly missing Bamford. Because, again, we didn't have that movement at the top of the pitch. We didn't have anyone sort of forcing them to think and causing issues, which is a pretty big problem, I think, if you're making your opponents not need to think about the football that they're playing. So him being back in the next match would be good. For me, the space between the midfield and defence, they just ran through and around us. What's happened to our defence? I think that's a fatigue thing. And we're a side that isn't willing to do the sitting back and absorbing pressure stuff, except in very specific moments of games. So we can't fall back on that. So we're left to deal with individual issues, which happen. But the issue is it's quite hard to rotate those players out of the centre-back positions because Strout's not fit. And because Cooper might not be at the standard, and because Cresswell, I don't think is up there. But if Farke was the right man, how did he fail several times he had the opportunity to prove it? He couldn't. Right. First season of Marcelo Bielsa, we got 83 points. Looked like we were going to get automatically promoted for the majority of the season, and we didn't, and we ended up in the playoffs, and it didn't work. We did so on 83 points. This season, we have been towards the top of the table consistently, without fail, in the conversation for promotion. We're finishing third place on 90 points. It is answering what you asked, because what you asked was a completely null and void question, because you look at a league as an entire fucking item. Because 3 points in February is the same value as 3 points in April. It is. Because at the end of the day, no one goes, well, you see, when you have a look at the league table, actually, that win was only worth 2.4 points because that happened in December. No, that's horseshit. That's not a thing. What is a thing is performance over an entire season. And the entire season's been pretty good. Issue is, two others had it more pretty good. How many times did Farke have the chance to make it count? It's completely fucking irrelevant. It is. Having the second best season in terms of results in Leeds United's history and saying you want the manager out is a bit daft. Six your opinions, Joe. Don't go down the road of slagging off other content creators as you don't. You do a good broadcast, not making a balls up. Thank you, Mr. Fahrenheit. Okay, bye. Fine. That's fine. Like, look at an entire season. Don't look at the last 3 or 4 games, and things will feel a little bit nicer. And you know what? You'll spend less time screaming on the internet. And I'll tell you what, that always feels quite good too. Not having to have a scream at people online. It's nicer having a little bit of a vibe, I'll be honest with you. And that's what I'm trying to bring with this channel. Just nice, chill stuff, and that's okay. Do you have confidence that we will win promotion? I don't know. It depends on the condition of various players. Having Connor Roberts back is very important because you can see that he brought a little bit more life to the side. I do think in the playoffs, if we don't start with a straight standard number 9, we could have some issues. Because that position is one of the most important to the way that we play. Because that means that we press high, we press hard, and that's what we were doing early in this match. We were having Pirou pressing quite hard, at least harder than normal. We're having Ruter pressing quite hard, at least harder than normal. And that's where we won the ball back and we scored that goal. Which was nice. And then in the second half and towards the end of the first half, that didn't happen as much. And that is, I think, where those failings start to kick in, because Pirou isn't the most energetic of people. Once the energy ran dry, it didn't go too good. So I think if Pat is fit for the playoffs, I feel okay. Because he can bring that pressing. He can bring that like energy and aggression, which is so important. If it's not, and if we're starting Pirou, I get a little bit worried again. Because although it works in the first half, it's about making it work in the second. I go on X to have a rant. Yeah, that's about right. But a lot of the time, going on X is just screaming into the void. I quite like that. It's a nice little feature. The first goal, there's about 6 players ball watching and 4 in space at the far post. And the second goal, Firpo shouldn't dive in, and Gruev just stopped tracking his man. Both goals preventable. This is what I'm thinking. Everyone is going to be saying that it's systemic and far cry out and all this, but we've had a good general season and we lost today because of individual errors. If anyone couldn't tell me that they can physically shout at Junior Firpo, who is on the other side of a pitch at Elland Road, right in the corner, with 37,000 people screaming and singing, that they can shout at Firpo, keep running to that ball in the corner, it's not going to go all the way out. Brilliant. Nice for you. You've got a hell of a set of lungs on you. But, mistakes are going to happen. Joe's brought me more positivity. I've been negative in the past, and Joe changed that somewhat. Nice. I'm glad. Happy about that, John. Just because being negative isn't so fun. That's basically what I've learned through my time of watching this stupid football team. So you might as well just sort of be fine. And if it isn't fine, then that's okay. Then next season we get to play against some worse teams and win some more football matches, which is good. You got to admit, this is more fun than if we would have finished 16th in the Premier League by the, just about crawling over the line. It's more fun over an entire season to just win some football matches, isn't it? We need to go into the players playing like we were before the international break, and I can't see that happening. We might. If we get James and Bamford back, I genuinely feel like we might be playing with that same swashbuckliness. Because losing James also has been a big problem for us, because he brings so much energy on that wing that having him back would be colossal, I feel. Seems our players have no idea of how to win. Has he lost the dressing room? I don't think so. I think we've got a good set of characters right now. And that's nice. That's very fun. I hope we get some competition for Melee next year, some centre-backs in backup and a left-back. If we get injuries for this lot, we don't have much answer. I think we will add depth in the summer, but it'll depend on a bit of turnaround in terms of stuff. You're trying to keep a level head? Yes, because I don't see the point in losing my head. Because no matter how loud I scream on a YouTube stream, no one at the club's going to hear it. So I'm just going to put my opinions across in a fairly... Hello, Iris! In a fairly chill, vibey environment. And I think that's quite nice. Yeah, there's worse things happening. It's football. Enjoy it. I mean, next weekend, Doctor Who's back. So, I mean, imagine that. Doctor Who, Eurovision, playoff semi-final. Oh, what a run of days. Spectacular. We can't win because we carry no threat up front. This is something that I'm genuinely curious about. And I'm very, 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 very glad that you brought it up. Because I want to double-check something. I want to see some player stats, I think, which might take me a moment to find. Toggle per 90. That's squad stats, not player stats. Toggle per 90, right. Okay, so on the we don't carry a threat up front thing, I've got a few little numbers, which I'm going to bring back to the screen. There we go. Right, shots on target per 90 of all championship players this season. You got some fairly solid players towards the top. You got Sargent, Armstrong, Phylogeny, Chaplin, Whitaker, cool. Somerville and Bamford have more than 3 shots on target per 90. Dan James has exactly 3. Return has 2.99. Piru 2.7. This isn't bad at all. If you consider there's 24 teams in the championship and we have 5 players in the top 27, that's decent. I think I'd take that. I think we've got more in the top 27 than any other club looking at it. It's just about putting them actually in the corners, which would be quite nice. Oh, hello, XG per 90. Oh, that looks a bit less good, doesn't it? Okay, so it's the quality of chances that aren't great. And that is arguably, but we've got Mateo Joseph up there. Maybe we play Mateo Joseph because he's getting in those dangerous positions. Yeah, but there's a fairly strong argument that looking at XG and stuff, maybe we're playing it out a lot because we know we're not like creating those good chances, if that makes sense. Hopefully that all like translates reasonably well. If we could just reset and look at it as a new beginning, maybe the players could believe again. That's my hope. My hope is that we look at this and go, that's fine. You lose football matches. It's about like staying consistently. That would be wonderful, Matt Leeds. I would absolutely adore that. Not 100% sure on this one because he was absolutely screwed over by his defence on both goals. Neither of those you can say were actively Lamellier's fault. They did get through the midfield a little bit too easy, I think. Do the same stats for the last 10 games. No one is denying there's been a drop in form. That's true. Fine. The last 10 games haven't been good, and I don't think there is a way for me to do that. At least not on FB Ref. No. Wonder if they're on who scored. Let's have a look. But no one's denying there's been a drop in form. There's been a drop in energy. And I think it came with injuries, with losing James, with losing Bamford, with players being absolutely fucking knackered because they've played so much football this season, including extra international bits and bobs, which is always very, very fun for a team. It's not been a fun end of season, has it, really? But the rest of it was a great time. And that's what I'm sticking by. What I'm also sticking by is because when I was younger, the social group that I was a part of was mostly gals. So football was not a topic of conversation, and I drifted away from it. And then I went to uni, and that was in Lancaster, so I wasn't part of like the Leedsy culture. So now we're at the stage where like I came back into football, and that was in the 17-18 season, right at the end. It was the end of Christensen, and the next season was Bielsa. I know He's in there somewhere, but so my first full season of supporting Leeds again was Derby in the playoffs, and I can distinctly remember being pumped for that first playoff match, and we won, and it was fantastic. And then the second match was horrific, and the worst bit is I didn't get to see any of it because I was at a 6-a-side game, which was, I think we got battered there as well. We lost like 8-1 or something like that. The general point of this is the season after that, we got promoted, and it was a brilliant time. And that's what I'm sticking with. I'm sticking with, yeah, this season has been mostly fun. We might not have gone up, but next season is going to be wonderful. And that's what I'm hopeful for. I think it's a fatiguey thing. I think there's so much football right now that is just exhausting. Farkas mismanaged this talented squad. Next season will be crap. I don't think it will. I think the Championship isn't a very strong division next season. Who's come up from League One, actually, come to think of it? Because whoever's coming down from the Premier League is not going to look good. Because do you look at this season, Sheffield United, and go, oh, they could be a problem? Or do you go, it's fine? Be right. Coming up from League One. Bolton have beaten Barnsley in the playoffs. Bolton, I don't think, will be a team that causes any problems. And then Oxford Peterborough. But I can't see who's come up automatically because whoscored.com is stupid. Portsmouth and Derby, I feel okay about that. That should be okay. Just catching up on the stream, I'm worried about the playoffs. Norwich is giving me Derby vibes in regard to if Rutter was dropped, I play Gray in the AM role. Our form is dreadful, but fingers crossed. Oh yeah, I'm fingers crossed as well. No point being depressed and wanting to give up. you think Daniel Farke could have got more out of the squad with more rotation if yes, switch players? I'm not sure. Because Cresswell, I don't think, is of the current standard. He wouldn't push past Rodon or Ampadu. And if they're fit enough to play, they're fit enough to play. I'm also in the spot of maybe Joffy could have had more minutes, but for a lot of the season, we've had a winning side. So, this comment, we're going to lose so many good players if we don't go up. I think I agree with CB. I don't think we'll lose that many players. I think it'll be Nonto. I think it'll be Somerville. I don't think Ruter goes because we would demand a quite big fee. Somerville, I could see maybe getting a hell of a lot of cash for him. 40-something million was the rumoured numbers. And that covers the remainder of the outgoing transfer stuff that we need to do, which is great. Really nice. And then anything else is profit that we can put into transfers. And I think that the 49 is the way that they tend to operate. And at some point soon, I will be doing an interviewee chat thing with an accredited journalist for the 49ers, sort of discussing what their recruitment thing is like. And a lot of it is retention, as far as I've been able to tell. Retention and focusing on building qualities where you don't have many. So I think that's okay. Easy B, they are literally 4th place in the championship. I think you're allowed to say that Southampton are a good side. Agreed that the squad depth will be better because we'll be investing a heck of a lot more, I feel. Somerville and Nonto definitely go, but not as hard to replace as folk may think. Yeah, the thing with Somerville and Nonto, right? Lots of people like these are really quality players, they'll be expensive to replace. Nonto cost us £4 million. Somerville cost us £1 million. Between them, £5 million. Which is real good, I think. And let's not pretend that scouting stops just because Victor Orta isn't here anymore. They will still be looking into the weird leagues like the Swiss League and Dutch youth systems and stuff like that. There will still be moves like that to be done. I think we'll get the replacements in. We'll be all right. This is the right take, I think. I don't really care who goes at the end of the season. I will still be here. Because a lot of people will be at Elland Road and they'll be singing along with a good old song, saying, "Here we go with Leeds United, give the boys a hand," all that shebang, and get through chorus into the second verse, sing the words ups and downs, and then we'll have a down. And people will be screaming their heads off and like, "We're doomed, it's game over. Oh no, we're never getting promoted again." Ups, celebrate the ups. Downs, back the team through the downs. If we're currently having a down, as a fan, you are partially responsible for that upswing. You're responsible for contributing to sort of that like inspiration that is coming from the crowd. So if you're in Elland Road and you want to sing Marching On Together and scream along with ups and downs, you need to be a part of that practically. You can't just do it in theory. You can't say ups and downs, but we're 2-0 down. See you later. I'm off to the Peacock. Doesn't really work. I think we could still beat West Brom in the playoffs. However, Southampton are difficult. I haven't looked at how West Brom and Southampton have played against each other recently, actually. Give me a second. Let's have a look at Southampton's matches this season. I think Rutter plays on the wing. I kind of prefer him in the middle because he's quite good in those cramped spaces. And we know that he likes a wander, so if you put him on the wing and he wanders, then you've just run out of wingers. Grail go as soon as one big club's interested. I don't think I agree with this. I think he's got too much smarts in his family for that to be the case, in my opinion. Southampton have beaten West Brom twice this season, but the home tie was incredibly lucky from them. They scored 2. West Brom scored 1. The XG literally flipped. West Brom 2 XG, Southampton 1. So they just put away the chances a little bit nicer. So I think West Brom will have a genuine chance. They put Southampton to the sword in that one and were unlucky to not get something out of it. 49ers said this week they don't plan to sell anyone. Assume that means they'll invest in the largest squad. I think that's going to be the plan. The plan is going to be largest squad, but I think they'll do what they did with... What's his name? Nonto. I don't know why Nonto's name went out of my head. They'll do what happened with Nonto and Everton, which will be, okay, so if you want Somerville, this is our price. If you don't pay this price, you don't get Somerville. And that'll be the end of the conversation until they stump up the cash, because it's fine. Somerville might want to push for a move, but you can't do anything about it. It was very hit and miss in terms of senior players, but when you look at his youth signings, it's quite good. His youth signings were, for the most part, strong. Nonto, Somerville, Strauch. Mellier's been here for a long-ass time and got us promoted once. Who else did he get when they were especially young? Joffrey was a good get for £1 million, even though he's not played that much recently. Could you call Rafinha a younger player? A young signing because he was like 22, 23? I don't know. Yeah, I think it would take the club actively trying to push Archie out the door for that to happen. I think we'll make it to the playoff finals, but I think Southampton make it as well, but we need to turn up. Yeah, I think we've got enough for Norwich. And then it's just a question of who makes it. We should hope West Brom make the final. I'd fancy our chances even with Farker on the bench. Yeah, I mean, let's have a look at West Brom's fixtures so far this season. They've got a win and a draw against Leeds this season so far, but we outperformed them quite big time in the first match. It was just about finishing chances off. Against Southampton, they lost both. Against Norwich, a win and a loss. So they're okay. They're average-ish. Just wanted a good performance and Meslier to make a meaningful save. Oh, well, I mean... having goal kept a hell of a lot. That first goal where it's cut across his net and there's 4 people free at his back post, if you want to blame him for that, you can do. Fine. But come on. Look at all of the defenders that are also in that position and maybe think, you know what? Maybe they could have done something first. Because he's rightfully covering his near post, and then it's fired across with a ball that should be cleaned up by the defence. And yeah, obviously in like half a second, he can't scamper across his entire net. That's not going to happen. It won't happen with 99% of goalkeepers. So I think calling out Meslier on that one's a bit harsh. Businessmen in suits exchanging brown envelopes this week. The game is all about money. It's very about money. But thankfully, Leeds have quite a lot of it right now. I know they only played 10 games, and that is fine. And I'm not personally crediting him with promotion. I don't want to credit the daft racist either. But I'm just saying that as signings go, Meslier cost us £4 million and was absolutely immense in our first season in the Premier League and got us to 9th for £4 million. It's pretty good. It's not the worst of signings. Damn, I just saw that Norwich lost to Birmingham, so our first playoff match will be Norwich and will maybe entice Farker and the players to wake up. That'd be nice. That'd be lovely. I was watching Flash Score as the game was going on to try and see what would happen. Something that I noted was that if Blackburn were to have lost to Leicester, Sammy Schmodix, the Golden Boot winner of this division, would have been relegated to League One. Which would have made it really easy to sign him for next season, which I kind of hope that we still do. But I don't know if that's going to happen. Did Schmodix score the goal against Leicester? Let's have a quick look. Oh, they scored twice. He's scored both of them, yeah. So that's 27 goals this season for Sammy Schmodix out of their 60. I kind of want to sign him now. That'd be nice. Not doable, but nice. I love Meslier. I hope fans realise his worth before he leaves. I am in the same boat. I like Elan very much. He's just I'm fond of a good goalkeeper. And yeah, being a good young goalkeeper, is he currently younger than me? I don't know. Age is, yeah, he's younger than me by 2 years. Christ, that's depressing. He's younger than my brother by 2 days. Like and subscribe for factual Leeds United content. Thank you very much, War Piglet. I appreciate that. Yeah, if you haven't yet, please pop a like on the stream. Please subscribe. We're trying to not be as depressed. We're trying to bring some jolliness to being Leeds fans, and I know that's not easy, but it's what we're pushing for. And we'll get there in the end, won't we? We'll get there. If Melier gets competition again, I will prosper. That's what Darlow was meant to be. And people were like, Darlow's a better goalkeeper than Melier, and Darlow turned out to not be a better goalkeeper than Melier. So I think it's a case of lots and lots of people underrate Illan Melier. In part because he was dropped by Sam Allardyce last season for Joel Robles, and then Joel Robles conceded more goals per game on average. So, Also, Joe got my robot vacuum today, officially named Dustin. I love it. On his first task, he got stuck under my sofa and begged for help. That's kind of sad. Oh, I hope he's okay. Oh, get your candles out for Justin. Let's hope that he's found a little bit of freedom and relief. Does Blackburn beating Leicester at the King Power make it easier to take that they beat us at Elland Road? Yeah, for me. I mean, I'll be honest, at the time I wasn't too aggressively angry that we'd lost to them anyway, because it wasn't a sign of a systemic problem. We got sort of diddled a little bit. Because they had, what, 3 shots? Something stupid like that. But, yeah. Being a little bit more lethal with our finishes is what's going to matter in the playoffs, in my opinion. But we'll see. Come on, let's give Joe a like. Yeah, let's. That'd be nice. I'm going to finish the stream in a few minutes because I have work very, very soon. But I would appreciate if you haven't yet, popping a like on the stream, even subscribing or becoming a channel member. I know becoming a channel member costs a little bit, but all that money right now is going to Prostate Cancer UK. So it's definitely heading in the direction of a good cause that makes a difference to a hell of a lot of people. I like the idea of putting googly eyes on Dustin. That'd be an absolutely spectacular sight. Spelling control did me there. What were you meaning to spell? Because if Melier gets competition again, I'll prosper. I can't think of how that would be spelt different. Hello, playoffs, my old friend. My dream scenario right now is that we will have learned from the last time we were in the playoffs and things will be a little bit better. That would be nice. How about making a season fan phone-in? That could be fun. That could be an adventure. But I would want to limit it to people that I relatively trust. Because what tends to happen with a lot of phony things online is people will hop in and say something incredibly racist or something, and a stream will get taken down. And it's like, oh, okay. That's good. That's what we wanted. Yeah, trolling is a short way of putting it. You think a better keeper with better competition. Oh, okay. You think he'd be a better keeper with better competition. Yeah, that makes sense. Add that to the fact that keepers constantly train with one another and against each other's shots. It's the same reason that more goalkeepers should take penalties, because goalkeepers train pens against other goalkeepers. Yeah. A bit more competition in that spot would also be quite good for us, I think. West Brom don't score many goals, so in a one-off game we will overcome. That would be absolutely spectacular. I'm just going to hop over to West Brom and see how they've done in cup competitions this season, actually. Because I will confess, I've got no idea. Leeds pitch invasion after winning the playoff final. That would be very nice. I would love to see something like that. Partially because it means things would have gone well. Okay, so in the EFL Cup, they lost to Stoke City, playing a 3-5-2. Oh, that's defensive. And in the FA Cup, they beat Aldershot before proceeding to lose 2-0 to Wolves, which, fair. Overall, a brilliant season. We go again. We do. And I'll be honest, the season's not done yet. It could be an even better season. We'll find out how that lands in the near future. Thank you very much, Mr. P. Leeds are going up scrubbed into second. Sorry, I just got back from a parallel universe. What happened here? Not had a chance to see the game yet. Oh, it was really good. We won 17-0. And Ipswich got beaten 17-0. But the issue is the EFL are corrupt, so they just decided to time travel, reset the day. So we lost 2-1, and Ipswich won 2-0. Also, this is a good point. Congrats to Ipswich Town. They've definitely deserved it. They've earned it. Fair play to them. I'd rather they hadn't, but they have. And I'm not sure there's anything that we can hugely do about that. Well, there's nothing that we can do about that. They're promoted. The issue is, now we get promoted. And that's what counts. Yeah, I know. I thought we had them. Not this time. Not this time. Bloody time travelers. Better season than I was expecting. Can't be too down. MOT, I'm off shopping now. Have a good week, everyone. Yeah. And on that note, I am also going to head off because I have work in 25 minutes, give or take. So yeah. Anyway, that was the end of the standard season. We've got some playoff football to come. Might have a chat with a accredited journalist from the 49ers coming up soon, which should be quite nice. Discussing how they approach the playoffs and throughout the transfer window, how they approach transfers, which should be quite nice and interesting. Oh, good heavens. I'll read that in a moment. And yeah, I'll have various bits and bobs coming up throughout the week. There'll be little bits of transfer news sneaking through as well, I am sure. I'm going to skip those final ads because, sod it, I want to keep chatting to you guys. And I'm going to leave you on an artistic message that has been a significant part of the chat. And we'll find out how we're going. Myself and Dustin have developed a somewhat gay relationship. He's criticised my cleanliness and the feng shui of my flat. However, he sucks well, so I don't complain. And with that, I'm going to call the stream there. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, pop a like on the stream. It is definitely helpful. It means that the stream gets pushed out a little bit after the fact, which is always really, really useful for a streamer. Subscribe if you aren't yet. Comment on the VOD if you fancy watching it back, because that also apparently helps the algorithm. I don't know. And even become a channel member. All that money right now is going towards Prostate Cancer UK. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you later. Let's hope the end stream